Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4-6 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day six. Day six is right here in this white rectangle. Now, as always, we talk about this entire electromagnetic sequence at the weak level. Why? Well, one, we're sentient beings, okay? We're in a sentient space time construct, and we're supposed to work through our emotions in positive ways. Now, when we figured out how this construct works, we figured out how we were being manipulated by an unseen pattern, and that's what this is right here. This is the electromagnetic pattern that actually agitates our defensive design. And you see, our defensive design tries to convince us to do one of two things: fight or flight. So we either want to stand up and fight for our problems that make them worse, or we want to run away from our problems and not get our stress out. Okay. And that's what we're designed to do. And that's how this pattern is using our design against us. Now, we do these forecasts so you can see that when this pattern elevates, we can warn you that it's going to be tough for you not to fall victim to your design, meaning that you can consciously overcome the way that you feel. You see, our feelings are being used against us. This pattern is trying to use our feelings to create division, argument, and avoidance. Okay. And what we're trying to tell you is this: if you let this pattern have control, if you let this pattern manipulate you, this is what it does to you. It accelerates your rate of aging because it increases your stress load. And it also creates future states of disease. You see, your stress is going to accumulate. And over a lifetime, your stress causes damage to your body. And depending on what kind of stress you have and how often you have that stress, well, that leads to your future states of disease. This is a predetermined pattern. And how you let this a pattern affect you creates your predetermined state of health. Now, understanding this pattern and preparing for this pattern, well, that lets you overcome your predetermined fate. That's what we're here to try to help you do, okay? Now, again, we are in a sentient space-time reality. This is a mathematical construct. It has an objective, and the first part of the objective is to overcome this pattern. Now, day six is going to be kind of difficult here. You see this elevation right here, and we talked about this in day five. We've got an emotional polarity flip, and then we're going to have a dual flip. So you see this up right here, where it starts out with just one up, and then it jumps up to the second level here, and this is going to carry on through. Now, this is not the strongest one we've been through. A couple weeks ago, much, much harder than what we're at right now. Does that mean that this isn't going to be challenging? Absolutely it is. Now, when we talk about challenge, we talk about the number four. If any of these patterns reach that number four or go above that number four, that's a lot of agitation. That's a lot of manipulation. It's definitely going to start to make it difficult to stay calm and cooperative and to work out differences without that defensive system trying to convince you to do otherwise. And when we look at day six here, okay, when we look at the first person, we get up to that four in a couple places. And when we look at third person, the same thing. Now, when we combine those two, you can see that we're floating between 3 and 4 most of the time, and we jump up as high as a 6. So again, this is going to be a pretty difficult day, and this is going to continue to get harder as we get closer to the end of the sequence. Now, this electromagnetic pattern, it's this simple. It's trying to stop you to get along with one another. You see, in this sentient space-time reality, we're all born into families. And this defensive design not only makes it hard for us to get along with our own family members, but it makes it hard for all of our interconnected families to agree and get along. So, the first part of this objective is one, overcoming your defensive design and being able to communicate, cooperate, and coordinate with all of your family members and all of your community members, including helping them eliminate their stress, but most importantly, focused on what we're supposed to be doing as this interconnected team of families. Every single person should have a routine that when they put in time and energy, it's not only going to help their family, but it's going to help every other family that they share this world with. Same thing. When we as individuals put time into our routines on a day-to-day basis, it better help us, but it also better equally help everybody else. At the national level, we should all be investing in our nations, helping to strengthen our nations, coordinate our nations, help our environment, stabilize our nations. But we also have to understand, in order to stabilize our nation, we have to help and build up all the other nations we share this existence with. Now, when we balance at the national, the family, and the individual level, what's going to happen is we're going to create a balanced and stable world. And that means it's not going to matter what future generations, where they're born, what nation they're in, doesn't matter. They're all going to have equal opportunity. Now, that's what we're supposed to do. End of story. That's what this math is all about. It's just trying to teach us how to balance our choices and how to get along with our teammates. Again, the challenge is this unseen pattern. and our defensive design. Now, once you understand that that's all this is, it gets easy to let go of all of the assumptions we've made about what life is because, in truth, life isn't about anything other than balance and equality. And this is how this works. And we've simplified this for you so we can prove it to you real quickly. Okay. Our existence is made possible by interconnected frequencies. These frequencies are connected to everything that exists, including our bodies. And what we've done is we've shown how these governing frequencies that make our existence possible are connected to the four quadrants of our body. So, if you have problems getting along with these teammates that are on the left side, and you're having problems communicating with them or being positive and not acting defensive, or not being able to talk to them about the importance of balancing routine, okay? And if you're not balancing your routine at all of these levels, whatever areas you struggle with, well, you're going to be out of balance with the frequencies that give you life. And what that's going to do is it's going to take your life away. The more out of balance you are, the more damage the quadrants of your body are going to experience. So if you wonder why everybody seems to have different parts of their body that have problems, or why some people age faster than other people, it's this simple. The more unbalanced you are with your relationships and the more unbalanced you are with your routines, the faster your body's going to experience destructive interference or aging and disease. Now, the good news is this. Once you understand what this is and you accept that you're in a mathematical construct, this is a simulated reality, it's just trying to teach you. And it uses biofeedback. So once we prove to you this is what it is, this is how easy it is to get healthy. To get healthy, you just have to be in alignment with these frequencies. You see, these frequencies govern us. They're not asking, they're telling. And if you decide not to be balanced, well, then you decide to be sick. If you decide to be balanced, they can actually strengthen your body's ability to stay healthy and stay young. Now, there's another reason you do this too. We're in a construct. This is a mental, emotional, and physical challenge. You have to use your mental capacity to overcome your emotions to run away or create more problems. And then, in order to show your work, you have to physically do it. You see, just mentally understanding what this construct is and what we should do, well, I think everybody knows we're supposed to balance. I think everybody knows we're supposed to help other people and we're supposed to bring our communities together and we're supposed to take care of this interconnected environment we live in. The problem is how we feel. Sometimes we feel like we don't need to get along with certain people, and sometimes we feel like, well, our needs are more important than others. But the truth is, our feelings are deceiving us. And in order to show that we're not being deceived, well, we have to act in a balanced way. That's the hardest part, and that's what we need people to do. You have to correct all of the dysfunction that exists in your relationships by doing the work, and you have to actually change your routines. If you commit to your team and you commit to a balanced routine and you do this till the day you die, you get a reward. That's how this works. And basically, you have to leave this world a better place because of your commitment to your team and your actions to make sure that future team members are going to have a better experience than you did. That gets you out of this negative feedback loop we're in. We talk all about this on our website. This sentient space time reality, there are two ways to exist, a negative side and a positive side. And right now, we're in the negative side. If you want out of this negative side, the only way to get out is to balance, and if you do it, you get to go to a positive reality that's like a theological heaven. It's a mathematical place where instead of bad things happening to you, good things happen to you, but you have to earn that reward, and that's what we're trying to help you understand too. Again, this is just a construct. It has an objective. It has rules. We just didn't know it, and now we're going to show you how this works. So when we talk about the zoomed in day 6, that's what this is right here, okay? And what we've done is we've really zoomed in this electromagnetic pattern and we've synchronized the times of the day to it. And we have all 24 time zone offsets. So you'd come down here, you'd find your time zone offset. And then once you have the proper offset, this holds for 10 seconds, you screenshot it. And what this does is it aligns the times with these peaks so you know exactly where they're at. So for example, in this time zone at 12 a.m., that's when this peak's going to happen here. Now, this is for people that don't have good internet. If you've got great internet, just go to our homepage, healthreconnected.com. We've got a live feed. There's a time bar that progresses through the sequence. Every time you feel defensive, every time you see the people around you getting defensive, when conflict starts, all you got to do is reference this pattern and you're going to see it's going to be at one of these peaks. And pretty soon you're going to realize, oh, wow, I guess I'm being manipulated and I didn't know it. And what's happening is when you're being manipulated, it's just causing stress. Understanding this pattern and investing in what it does to you can only help you. This is the first way we prove to you that you're in a construct and this is just an objective, and you have the mental capacity to overcome the way this is making you feel. All right, so we already kind of talked about that day 6 here was going to be challenging. Now that we have this zoomed in, you can see that in the first 12 hours, probably not as tough as this second 12-hour period is going to be. You see how first person jumps up here at the beginning of the second 12 hours, and then as that drops off, we get a jump up here in the third person. All right, so again, the second 12 hours of this period is going to be difficult, but don't underestimate it. This whole 24-hour period is going to be a little difficult. All right, so the second way that we prove this to you is through these alignments. Now, this is going to be a pretty easy day to prove to you that these alignments affect us. What's an alignment? An alignment is when two frequencies that are governing the same area align at a certain moment in time, and that's what we're showing you here. It's when two frequencies amplify. They're testing the same thing, and it makes it very easy for us to point out why you would feel that at that moment. That test is going to be stronger. That's what that means. Now, the blue line, that's testing to see how well we do with our teammates. The purple line, that's testing to do with how well we're balancing our routines. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is the MP on the time side. That's this guy right here. Now, this is going to go on for 12.25 hours. Super long alignment. This is pretty strong. People are definitely going to feel this one, and they're going to feel it in their right lower quadrant. Now, what this means is any of the lower quadrant stuff has to do with our smaller routines, how we're balancing at the individual level and how we're balancing our routines at the family level. And if we're out of balance with these smaller ones, specifically during this alignment, we're going to feel it on the right lower quadrant. Okay. The more unbalanced your approach is, so the more your strategies or your routines help you versus helping the people around you, the more you're going to feel damage down here. The more balanced you are, well, the less damage you're going to feel down here. And if you're perfectly balanced, you can actually amplify your body's ability to be healthy during this alignment time. You can use these alignments to heal yourself instead of how we're showing you how this works is by when it causes damage and makes you hurt. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is this MP, which is this blue alignment. This is going to go on for 6 hours. Now, on the space side, this is testing to see how well we get along with our teammates. The lower half of the body has to do with the younger, less mature teammates. The upper half of the body has to do with the older, more mature teammates. Now, it doesn't really matter. You need to get along with every teammate, whether they're older, they're younger, they're male or female, and you have to be able to communicate, cooperate, alleviate their stress, and also talk about how to balance routines. That's all you have to do with everybody, but that's not so easy to do. Depending on the age and the gender, that's a whole big difference here. Now, specifically, if you're having trouble with the younger members of the team, that's what this one's going to test. And if you're having problems being positive and doing all those things with younger members of the team, you're going to feel it in your left lower quadrant. The more unbalanced you are in those relationships, the more you're going to feel it in this left lower quadrant. All right, let's keep moving here. The next one we're going to talk about is this EE. This is an hour and a half alignment. Now, this is going to test relationships at that more mature level. Same thing, though. Communicate, cooperate, alleviate stress, work on routines, and talk about how you're going to balance routines with them. The more you do that, the better off you are. The less you're doing that, the more problems you're going to have, specifically if you're having problems with the older and more mature members of the team. Expect right upper quadrant pain. Last one we're going to talk about here is this ME. This is only a 45-minute alignment, so it's a little bit shorter here. This is going to test the lower quadrants of the body, and we already talked about this. Lower quadrants of the body have to do with our routine at the individual and family level. So again, you better be contributing in a way that doesn't just help you and your family, it helps every individual and every family out there. The more unbalanced it is, the more you're going to feel it down here. That's all these frequencies do. They just keep testing us again and again on our choices, and they give us feedback. If we're in balance, we get positive feedback. If we're out of balance, we get negative feedback. There's no such thing as an accident in space-time reality. Everything that happens is literally just a consequence of how we decide to interact with our teammates and how well we decide to balance our routines. All right, let's keep moving here. Now we're going to talk about the testing sequence. Testing sequence is how many frequencies are going to test each quadrant of our body in this 24-hour period of time. Anything above a 4 or more than 4 frequencies, that's a lot. Less than 4 frequencies, not so much. So you can see the left upper, that's right at that 4 number just below it. The right upper starts out a little bit less and then kind of ends a little stronger. In that last 12 hours, we get above the 4. In the left lower quadrant, we're at the 4 and then we drop down, and the right lower quadrant's basically at the 4. So there's a little bit of variation here. You might feel things shift around a little bit, and that's exactly why we show this. So in the second 12 hours, if your right upper shoulder starts to hurt, and in the second 12 hours, your left lower back stops hurting, this is trying to help you understand how the testing sequence explains why things seem to shift around in your body, why you get a knot or a headache and then it moves to a different part. That's what we're doing here for you. We're trying to connect the dots. All right, so these two graphs have to do with where the strongest frequencies sit, and there's some lopsidedness today, okay? So when we look at this, the first thing I want you to know is this. If you have problems in this upper right quadrant, you see how first person, there's some strong frequencies sitting here that are going to affect us for this 24 hours, but when we look at third person, there's nothing up here. So for the whole 24-hour period, you feel right-sided shoulder pain, it's telling you you're having problems with the mature members of the team, okay? It's a teammate issue more than it is a routine issue. Now, it's opposite over here. You see how there are two frequencies that are at the larger level that are sitting in the upper left. So if you get upper left problems that go on for this 24-hour period, we know that you're having routine troubles at that larger level, at the nation and the world, how you're contributing there. It's not equal and it's not balanced if you're hurt up here. Same thing down here in this right lower quadrant. So you see there's nothing in the teammate side, but on the routine side, there's a lot going on here. So if right lower quadrant goes off, we know it's a routine problem. Versus if you have left lower quadrant stuff that goes on for 24 hours, we know that you're having a teammate problem. That's how these are helpful. It just helps you kind of focus in on what this is and where you struggle and what you'd need to do right away in order to get things better for yourself. Now, don't overcomplicate this. If you commit to every member of their team, no matter what their age is, no matter what their gender is, and if you decide to change your routines and think about what you're doing, and if you keep doing it, how that's going to leave this world either a better place or a worse place, and you figure out how to change your routine in order to make sure it's going to be better at all levels, you got no worries. You don't have to worry about these graphs anymore. You're going to be in alignment with these governing frequencies. You're going to pass this sentient space-time reality's objective. You're going to be healthy, you're going to eliminate disease, and you're going to get to move on to a mathematical heaven. You don't do that, you're going to suffer, you're going to age faster, and you come back and you do this again and again and again until you change your mind. It's the repetitive nature of what we're in. All right, let's end this out. So what we've got down here is the rest of 2024, the electromagnetic pattern for the rest of this year. When this pattern elevates, social tension elevates. When this pattern goes down, social tension goes down. That's just how this works. And we're showing this to every individual because we want to empower you to overcome this pattern, because the first thing it does is it eliminates your stress and helps you out. But if we can get regions of people and nations of people investing in overcoming this pattern, we can start to change everything. You're going to see things happen at a larger level that make us better for all of us. And that's what our goal is here. We want to help you as an individual, but we also want to help individuals come together so that we can make things better for everybody. All right, that's pretty good for today. We'll talk to you in the next 24 hours. We'll see you then.